The Portuguese 1886 Kropatschek Rifle. Now this is one in a time period, and these guns we've been reviewing is very similar to the 7184 Mauser, the Lebel 1886, and we have this rifle here that the Portuguese adopted. Now what it was is Steyr was working on manufacturing 1878s or something for the French, a rifle that used Alfred von Kropatschek's magazine system, and it was for the old black powder cartridge that went into the Gras rifle. The Germans adopted it in the 1871-84. They decided to use that magazine system. The Japanese did use it in their Matsuura rifles, and a strange thing that happened, man, it was used in the 1886 Lebel, which we just reviewed. The thing is, the Portuguese didn't have the means to manufacture their own rifles, so they would buy them, and Steyr was the #1 producer and exporter of military rifles at that time in the 1880s. So what they did is they ordered a single-shot rifle, and it had some weird caliber because with the 1888 Steyr straight pull, they were making a bottleneck 8mm cartridge with black powder, the old 8x50. So they whipped up something for the Portuguese that was 8x60, and then over time they used black powder, then they started to use semi-smokeless, smokeless, and being a rimmed cartridge and head spacing off the end of the barrel, they did make smokeless ammunition for this gun at some point in time. And then it became, and this is where it's confusing, they just cut the case back and it was the 8x56. You could use either or in this rifle. Now, it has, and I'll show you once I get it up here, it's very similar to all of these rifles. And the bolt was kind of designed with some features of the Mauser, and this is kind of French looking with the extractor and that, like for the French gun. So it was a combination of all of these things put together in one gun. The sights, which were modified over time, these are probably for smokeless powder. It's a rear sight, a couple barrel bands, got your front sight, bayonet lug, and there's your magazine tube, much like all the rest of them. And if we look down in there, yeah, that looks like a French bolt head with parts of a German design. It's pretty, it's a compilation, but the Portuguese liked it. And these guns were used in the Portuguese colonies well into the 1960s. So one thing about the different types. Okay, there are 4 different types. There's this long rifle, standard rifle. There'll be one called a colonial, which would have a handguard, a wooden handguard added, and you could tell sometimes if they're missing, you'll see where they clip down onto the barrel. So the stock will have a cutout where that sheet metal clip would go. This isn't it. Then there was a short rifle version, okay, which if you see a picture online, the rifle, they just shortened it a little bit. So there was a short rifle, and then there is the musketoon, which I have one of them, and that'll be the next gun we review. So, as you see, it's all standard, lifter plate and that. That's the magazine cutoff selector. It has this little finger guard here, which is kind of a holdover, and then on our stock you would have, I believe this is the year it was manufactured, It's a manufacturing stamp. And you do find them in really good condition. This has a real nice bore. It's really nice. And they were a common gun. They brought these in, I believe, in the 60s, 70s. And I also have a bayonet. We'll look at that a little bit later. And that was gotten by mistake. But that's a look at it there. Now we'll flip it over and take a look. Now these guns were extremely well made. And that's why you still find them in fairly good condition. And now on the other side of the stock is the serial number, which that one does match the barrel. And that's the seal, I guess, of King Carlos, I believe. And we'll get our, see if we can get our scroll. There we go. 1886, Imperial Seal. Very nicely well made rifle. And these here, all of these, have the cleaning rod on the side. I guess because of the magazine and that was underneath there where they go on a standard rifle. Alright, so now we'll take a look at the action. Alright, so here's a close-up of the action and how it operates. This thing is smooth. Alright, the Mauser style safety. Simple two-position flag safety like on the older Mausers. But this one, for some, it's pulling cocking knob back. A little bit harder for me to flip it over. Maybe just stick from, yeah, it's getting better now. Okay, so safe. And then back, fire, two position. Alright, and like I said, you notice it has this thing like the Mauser to take it apart, and it has a similar extractor like the French gras on that. Here's your magazine selector, so we're in single shot mode. It's down, back, and then when you open it up, that drops the floor plate down. A cartridge will be lying there, and then up it goes. When you close the bolt, the plate, floor plate or lifter plate goes down. Another cartridge, like in a shotgun, would pop back, and then again. And this gun, you can move that switch without having to have the bolt back. The Mauser, I think, is the only one that does that. The French gun and this one, you can move the cutoff without no problem. Alright. Now the bayonet, okay. This I got, it came with another rifle, and it was thrown in there, and I got a deal on the rifle, and it came with this bayonet. It's actually the correct bayonet for this rifle, not the one I got. And I believe this was the same bayonet they used. They ordered them single shot Guides rifles, and they didn't like them. They wanted something more modern. The serial number on that, and a small marking on there. So, they made them take the Guides rifles anyway, and they just chambered this gun in that caliber. And the bayonets, I guess, fit on both of them, I think. So, let's get over, let's mount the bayonet. I'm not one for bayonets because they're hard to store, and keeping them on the rifle is a pain. So it's your standard, there's your lug there. You just snap it on. There it goes, you know, standard bayonet thing. Let's get a look at this. Yeah, so we have to get back from the camera distance to really appreciate this pig sticker. It's over 6 feet long with that on there. Pretty impressive. A little crowd control, a little bit. And I guess you could just use the damn thing as a saber if you had to. But anyway, it's pretty neat. and I got it. I didn't buy it on purpose. Wasn't looking for it, and I had no idea what they would get for one of these. All I know is it's probably a ridiculous price. But again, the bayonet also was in very nice condition. A little bit worn, but with the scabbard, pretty good. Alright, I'll do a conclusion here. Alright, well, this Portuguese rifle was fairly common. I remember seeing them a lot when I was younger, and they weren't that expensive. And again, it's another gun because you couldn't get ammunition for it. I think they stopped making it, I don't know when. The only thing you could find were blanks with wooden bullets, and you would pull the blanks in that out and try to reload those cartridges. And again, everyone thinks that they call it an 8mm, but much like the 8x50 millimeter that goes in the Austrian guns, which in actuality they use, and much like on the 1880 to 1895 rifles, the groove diameter uses a 329 or 330 bullet, not the 324 like a standard 8mm. Mauser and most of the other common 8mm guns use a 323, 324. These guns use that Austrian diameter bullet. So the proper bullet for this rifle would be a 220 grain torpedo bullet at about 330. Okay, I tried getting a bullet mold ordered to do that, and it was a real pain, and it only works in the 1888 Austrian rifle. Because something about the old black powder gun, they cut the throat out. That bullet, I tried getting it in an 8x50 to put in a M95, and it wouldn't work. And I tried to use it also on this rifle. It wouldn't fit. So that idea of mine, I have to get a new bullet mold made. And then I'm going to resume the 8x50 and this. Now, I made some brass for this. It's not that hard, but getting the right diameter bullet's the problem. And do not use pointed bullets. I bought some ammo over the years that somebody hand loaded and made up, and they put spire pointed 8mm Mauser bullets in there, and I actually had one where somebody detonated a round inside the magazine. Okay? It's got to be a flathead or round nose bullet. Okay, don't use the magazine. If you get ammo from somebody that makes it up and it's got an 8mm bullet on there, be cautious. Do not load them in the mag. And the standard 8mm bullets, the accuracy sucks on this. And much like the 8x50 Steyr, the only way you're going to go and get anything close is I have to have a custom bullet mold made and have a cast bullet that is like that huge 250 grain torpedo bullet that they used. You know, people try to use the shorter 8x50 case with an 8x56 bullet, which is the right diameter, and it is pointed, has a spire point on there, so don't even try loading them in this gun. You'll blow the gun up or you screw up the gun. Okay, but that's something I think this year I'm going to work on. I'm going to try to get out and shoot this rifle. And I got to do some measuring and all this other stuff and recalculate the type of bullet mold I need to have made up on this. Alright guys, I hope you like it, and stay tuned for the next one. I'm going to do the little Muscatoon, which is a really interesting gun.